Hello, everybody. Now, I know you're studying for your real estate exam. That's why you're here. And I will tell you this, if you haven't already, head on over to passbuddy.com. That's where we're going to have all of my practice questions, tests, quizzes, webinars, tips, tricks, and everything you need to help you get to where you need to be for your real estate exam. Now, that being said, I posted this question a little while ago to our YouTube channel. I said, hey, if you want to get a deeper dive into this particular question, we're going to do so in a video that I'm going to release now. Obviously, you're here, and we're going to talk about this. And this is actually called a seller net problem. Now, when we're talking about seller net problems, I like to kind of preface it with this one thing I like to say is that there are multiple ways to solve for this problem. Both are correct. One takes more time, one is a little quicker. I'm going to show you the quicker way. However, I am also going to say that the more time consuming way is okay because you will get to the right answer. It's just more time consuming. So, in this situation, let's read the question first and then we'll go over each one of those. Bob is looking to sell his home. He currently has to pay off a mortgage of $45,000, miscellaneous fees in the amount of $450, and a 3% commission is to be included. How much must Bob sell his home for? So what I always like to do first is this. I always like to identify what the question is asking me. How much Bob must sell his home for? The next thing I like to do is identify all the things I have in the question. Well, he has to pay off a $45,000 mortgage. He has $450 in miscellaneous closing fees, and a 3% commission is to be included. Now, some of you may tackle the question like this. You'll take the multiple choice questions, you'll take A, B, C, and D, all those answers, right? And what you will do is you will figure out what 3% of A is, subtract it from it, see if it adds up to what he has to net, right? If it doesn't, move on to B, so on and so forth. Now, that in and of itself is time consuming. So a lot of students who do not save the math for the end, which is what I recommend you do. I recommend you do that for a situation like this if you go about it doing the question like going through the process of elimination of the answer set. It's time consuming. You will get the right answer, so I'm not discouraging you from that. I'm simply saying understand why I tell you do save your math for the end. Because if you're doing the process of elimination like that in the middle of your test, and then like you realize how much time that took up, and then oh my gosh, the anxiety is piling up, and you're probably, even as explaining this, you're probably getting some anxiety going, oh, that sounds like something I wouldn't want to experience. Yeah, and you might now get questions that you might have otherwise gotten right wrong because of the fact that you have that anxiety building up. So that's why, again, we're saving our math for the end. And this isn't a wrong way to approach it. If that's how you approach this question, go for it. I'm all for it. However, I'm going to show you my way of doing this, which is just going right to the answer. And listen to how we do this. The first thing we do is we know that Bob has to pay $45,000 mortgage. Also, he has to pay $450 in miscellaneous fees. So let's just add those two together. And listen to me. Don't be a hero. Don't be a hero and do math in your head. Stu always says, don't do the math in your head because you want to make sure that you're not doing it in your head too quick and you're just basically rushing over things. Because, especially with how these numbers are, there's a lot of fours, there's a lot of fives. I could see myself not writing it down right or kind of getting it wrong or moving a 5 to a 4 place. Like, I could see this easily being 45, 540 in like one of my writings and stuff like that. Easily do that. So that's why I'm saying to you, slow down and punch these numbers into your calculator twice. Okay. And I see it's 45, 450. Okay. Now, because again, there's no extra points for doing it in your head. If there was, I would tell you, yeah, forego calculator. Right. But it helps us, it's an added step that helps us kind of, again, slow down the scenario so that We're making sure that we're not transposing things wrong. Because do you know how many students I see do the right math and then punch it into their calculator wrong, or write a number down wrong, or do exactly what I just told you, move a 5 to a 4, 4 to a 5 spot, right? So we want to slow it down. Now, we know that he has to pay 45,450 because that's the mortgage plus the miscellaneous fees that he has, right? Now, listen to what I'm going to tell you a lot of students do here. A lot of students take 3% and they multiply 45,450 by 3%, added to it, and then they come up with a number, and then they'll see that that number is either exactly right on the test because the test writers know that you're going to do that, or you're going to be close enough to another number and you're going to go, it must be that. And you're going to get it wrong. So, and why is that? Well, let me explain something, right? And I want you to think about what you know already. The commission is always based off of the sale price. Is this the sale price? No. No, if that was the sale price, guess what? We would be done, right? We wouldn't have any other work to do, right? But that's not the sale price. That is the sale price, and one of these answers here, minus the 3% commission. Because think about it, that's what you were doing in when you were checking each answer. You were taking 3%, subtracting it out, right? So now when we take the sale price, right? And let's look at that as like the whole pizza pie, right? And we take 3% out. Like, what's another way that we could say that? I want you to think for a second. Even pause the video, have a notepad next to you. Listen, if you don't have notepads next to you when you're doing my videos, you're doing yourself a disservice. Write some things down. Write some things down. Ask yourself some questions. Follow along with me. So, what is the sale price minus 3%? Well, and here's the thing. That is exactly what 45,450 is, right? It's a sale price minus 3%. Or let me show you another way that I could write this, right? Mathematically, how I could write this to make this make sense. Or it's 97% of the sale price. And we're just going to let the sale price be X because we don't know the sale price, right? Right? And I mean, we could call that Y, we could call that, I could write sale price in there, whatever it is. We just don't know. It is 97% of a number. And when we say of a number, we're multiplying, right? Of a number, 97% of a number, 20% of this, we're multiplying, okay? So 97% of the sale price is 45,450 now. How do we solve for algebraic equations? How do we solve for algebraic equations like this? Well, we will do the opposite to isolate x, right? We want to isolate the sale price. We want to find that. So we would divide by 97%, and then on the other side, we would divide by 97%. So hey now, hey now, hey now. Let's see what that would equal. And how do we put that into our calculator? So what are we doing over here on our calculations? Well, let's see what we're doing here. What we're going to do is and we punch it in more than once, okay? We're going to take 45,450 and we're going to divide it by 0.97 because that's 97% as a decimal, right? And we come out to 46,855 and change. But I think in the question, I actually went ahead and rounded up. So now you're going to say, Stu, when do we know when to round up? Well, when we know when to round up, usually it will tell you in the question, or it would be kind of obvious, like in this situation where it just didn't have change in the answers, right? We didn't say 67 cents. So, and we're going to do it one more time just to make sure we didn't have a case of the Butterfingers. I know we didn't, but just to make sure. And why am I telling you to do that? Because you can make a wrong calculation And if you don't punch it into your calculator twice to double check yourself, I guarantee you the wrong answer is going to be on the test. It's going to be one of your answers. So always punch it in twice. You see what I do there? Now, that being said, everybody, listen, I just want to tell you, if you haven't already hit that like button, hit subscribe. It really does help us out over here at the Pass Buddy team. And what I want to also tell you is if you haven't checked us out yet at passbuddy.com, head on over to passbuddy.com, sign up today, and I will see you all real soon. Have a great one, everybody.